Hey, what's up guys? Pete Moriarty here. So in this session, we're going to be talking about the technology adoption playbook. And what does that mean? Well, that is actually how business owners adopt technology. And what are the different stages of business success that you should be thinking about different kinds of technology to adopt. Now, when I've worked with literally thousands and thousands of small business owners, they come to me at all different stages of business. Some are just at launch phase. They've literally just got an idea and they want to get the basics set up. Some businesses are hiring their first few staff. Some have got massive teams, hundreds or even thousands of employees. And there's different challenges and different struggles at every different level of business. And these have become quite distinct for me, what businesses at different sizes should really be focusing on. And so I'm going to be sharing in this video how you can know where you're at and where you should be focusing. So if you're a very small business and maybe you've only got your first 1 or 2 employees that you're hiring, it's probably not the best use of your time to be worrying about building a KPI dashboard so you can track all the KPIs of the business. Because the business is probably changing so rapidly, you don't even have time to check the KPIs. You need to be focusing on managing your team, managing your staff, and the strategies for growth. If you're a small stage business, then one of the things that people will often miss out on is the basics of security. Setting up an application like LastPass and making sure that you're actually having all of your passwords saved securely so that you're not losing them and that you have a safe way of sharing them with your team. Now, my mum actually has a business that she's launching at the moment and she's hiring someone to help her out doing some of her work. And what she's doing right now is she's actually sharing passwords. And that's a big no-no. And so one of the things that I recommended to her was using delegated mailboxes inside of G Suite. And so these are the things that we're going to cover. I'm going to share with you guys my framework for technology adoption. And this is going to let you know what things you may have missed, so blanks that you may need to fill in, and also where you should be focusing your energy now so you can get your business growing and successful and that your technology all works nicely for you. I'm sharing this with you in this group. This is literally hot off the press. We've been developing this framework and putting the intellectual property together literally over the last couple of weeks. So you're the first people that I'm sharing it with. So any apologies up front, please forgive me if it's a little bit rough around the edges, but I'm going to be taking you guys through in depth as much as possible what I've learned in working with the number of businesses that we've learned. And of course, I'd love to know what kind of challenges that you're having in your area of business right now. And so you can use the comments for that. Drop down the comments below. Anything that you think may be relevant for your stage of business, or if you're trying to match up the different business stages to challenges that you've got in your business right now, I'd love to hear if we hit the mark, or maybe you think we may have missed something and you want to share it with the community. So please go ahead and drop those down below as we go along. Let's go ahead and jump into the framework. So my lovely team have put together an amazing slide deck for me. So thank you very much to the Genius team for helping out, and I'm going to share this all with you guys. We've talked a little bit about our mission in the past, but if you're new to itGenius, our business is a small and medium business consultancy for technology, and we have a concierge service. That service helps small business owners get their technology in check, and as you grow and scale your business, we help you with support for your team and implementation of new technology tools, which are going to help you and your team be more efficient. So if you're at all interested in that, head along to itgenius.com and you can learn more about what we do. But in this session, we're talking about the different stages of technology adoption. And this is really the different stages of a customer's journey that they go along with us as they're working with us. We work from very small businesses right up to large organizations. But what we're really about is making sure that the right technology is in place for you to be able to grow and scale the business. Now you can see here that not all of this is completely filled out in our published version. In the YouTube version of the video, we'll have the finished product in there, but I'm just sharing the raw stuff with you guys because I wanted to really share this with you because I was so inspired when we put this together. I wanted to make sure that we were actually getting this in the hands of our community as quickly as possible. Okay, so we're going to start. We're going to go from launch to startup to growth to scale to accelerate, and I'm going to take you guys through the different areas of the business. But important here is for you to check out the team sizes. So team size of 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 20, 21 to 99, and then above. Let me know what you think about this. I'm really curious if we've hit the mark here or if you think there's some improvements to be done. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and first talk about our launch customers. So launching a business is a scary thing. That's when we've just started, right? And that's not to put crap on anyone who's a solo operator. There's plenty of successful solo operators who are solo consultants, or they're maybe just starting a business and they've got an idea for something bigger, but right now they're just running it by themselves. If you're running a solopreneur type business, or maybe you're selling your time, not the best thing to scale, but it does still work. If you are selling your time, or that's the kind of business that you have, what are the kind of challenges might you have up with? Well, you may have, the basics of like setting up a website. You're going to be getting your emails configured. Businesses that are in this stage of business are really going from the thinking of an idea to the thinking of an actual business. But with their technology, they're usually using a computer pretty much like an employee would use a computer. And what I mean by that is the files are stored locally. They're just sitting in your My Documents, or maybe they're floating around on the desktop, and there's no real organization to them. I mean, you might be someone who's organized and you've got them in nice, well-organized folders and those kind of things, but because you're not interacting with anyone else inside the business, you're really only thinking about yourself. And so launch businesses really are doing everything one-dimensionally. It's just one dimension, and they're not really sharing or collaborating all that much. Now, that's not really an issue until you start to hire your first few contractors. So that might be a consultant, might be your accountant, it might be a marketing consultant, it might be a technology consultant, or it might be a contractor to help you get some work done, maybe a virtual assistant. And that person starts to need to collaborate with you, but you start to run into challenges. So what challenges do we run into? Well, if you want to share a file and it's sitting on your computer, obviously that's not going to work. We start to think about things like security as well. If all of your passwords are just stored in Chrome and you've got them all saved in a vault that only you can access, well then it's going to be difficult for anyone else to access and work with any of that stuff, and it's going to be difficult for anyone to do work with you. The other mistake that launch businesses make is they just sit everything inside of My Drive or inside of Dropbox. And so if you're just using, if you're just working yourself and you're just using Google Drive for files that you're working on yourself, as soon as you start to add a contractor or somebody else inside the business, then you start to run into problems with sharing. Now we're going to cover some more of those in the startup phase, but in the actual launch phase, it's important to have a couple of things right. If you decide to use business email, and that is my strong recommendation, I don't recommend you use a Gmail account, because a personal Gmail account doesn't really look all that professional when you're sending out calendar invites and it comes from sexyhoney69@gmail.com. It's not going to look all that professional, right? But importantly, when you go to share some things, or if you want to add more stuff, you start to run into problems with having a non-business email address. So we want to switch to a business email address. That's basically one of the first steps there, right? But what tends to happen is businesses run into trouble when they're saving all their passwords locally on their computer. And what does everyone do? They repeat their passwords. They use the same password for everything. And so using a tool like LastPass for your passwords means that you're able to store a different password for every website you're using. And so LastPass will allow you to create a secure encrypted password for every different website that you use. And then each website, if someone were to get access to your password, is going to be securely cornered off or contained from anyone who has access to your one password. So making sure that's taken care of. Other things like antivirus start to come up, getting your DNS settings right. And if you're a later stage business and you haven't got this perfect just yet, this may be something that you want to go back and check back on, just to make sure that you've got DNS set up correctly inside the business. But your DNS settings point to where your website goes and where your mail goes as well. And so you want to make sure you get those right, because if you set up a business email address at yourdomainname.com and you go to send someone an email and you don't have all of those domain name settings correct, you may end up in someone's spam, and we definitely want to avoid that. So some of the challenges that are on the horizon for a launch business is just really working through how to hire staff, how to onboard staff, and then how to actually build systems in your business, how to delegate the things and take the hats off your head and share them with others inside the business. And we're going to cover that when we get into our startup stage. Let's move on to our next stage of business. Now we're going to talk about the startup businesses. And this is someone who's got off the ground, they've hired their first couple of employees. Now it might be a couple of VAs, it might be others who have joined the business mission to help you out. It may even be a co-founder or two. But this is a business which is no longer just a single operator. And so this business actually starts to have some form of collaboration happening inside the business. It might be really basic, and that's fine, but you're going to have to be doing work with others on the team. Now, the biggest challenges for a startup business is you're probably still spending a lot of time doing the work yourself. As the founder, you're still in that technician mode where it seems faster for you to just do things, and it's challenging to delegate. The key skill that a startup business owner needs to take on is to learn how to delegate and start taking hats off and giving them to other team members. However, the challenges of getting that right is that it's not always easy to do that, and you need to systemize the business. You need to create systems and processes and start documenting how things are done. Because the biggest risk for a startup business is you spend lots of time training someone new, and then they leave the business, and all of a sudden you've got to start again, right? You've got to train someone new, and you've wasted all that time, and it's a major pain in the butt. Now, usually that happens 1 or 2 times before someone realizes, oh crap, I better get good at doing some systems. So using a tool like a business intranet is a good way of documenting your systems. And what do I mean by an intranet? I mean an internal website which lets you store your how-tos, your steps, your policies, your processes, how to get things done in the business, all of those documentations, rather than just sticking them in a Word document and dropping them inside of Microsoft Word or Dropbox or something like that. That kind of works, but it's a bit clunky. An intranet is a browsable online website that your team can use, which makes it really simple for you to share those systems and processes. So when someone comes into the business, you just give them the login to the intranet and you say, here you go, here's how to learn how to get things done.